Welcome to Let Me Out Productions and the top brass down. How y'all like the digs today? Is the top brass down overlay? Okay, looks like we're live. Let's check the. Sorry for the infinite. Let Me Out Productions and the top brass down. Okay. We're good. Everything checks out. I guess I might need to redo that intro. Welcome to Let Me Out Productions and the top brass down. Hey. Okay. Infinite window gone. Let's get into it. We're going to be doing another episode of Bear Eat Ape. Bear Eat Ape. And we're going to use our cotton picking bots to provide us with some context around Press Pass. But first, I want my top brass down to work. There we go. And then I want to go here. I want to go to the main page. And I'm going to give you my own preface to what we're doing. Oh, crap. That's no good. I don't know what happened there. I feel like. Okay. Jeez. What a clumsy mess. Okay. Let's try that again. Press Pass, All Access, is an intellectual property franchise of my personal design and creation. It's a storyworld ecosystem focused on the microeconomies produced by fictional mixed-gender professional sports leagues around the world. This ecosystem scalable impact puzzles on the LMO structure for tokenomics finances each production from the franchise by offering a collaborative audience experience in the storyworld, value assured by a proof of labor system that shows success-based residuals with the production, the creator, and all hired labor of each season. So we're starting off with Season 1, where we are role-playing the 74-year lore of the Basketball Syndicate of America. So you buy a publishing title, you use that publishing title to create a character that you own, you run that character through a role-play game called the Lore Game. There's 7 meetings across from 3 weeks of time to role-play a chapter, where you create moments with other people, and those moments now become the lore of this franchise. Co-published lore. That lore is then farmed to create trading cards, scene collectibles, as we call them, lore scenes and lore memes, moments from the lore that are brought to life via video and animation, human video and human animation, and then we use that as the archive for this world. Those scenes are automatically published as collectible trading cards within the Press Pass market release system, and they're also used as flashbacks and references in the main TV show we're making, and in the advertisements that we make for the show and the experience itself. So, when we use any archive material in the show or in advertising material, the person who made that archive material gets a bounty. When their trading cards sell with their archive material in the trading cards, then when their editions sell, they're getting 50% per edition. And they price the editions. The minimum price is $5. So the minimum anybody's going to make if their content is fully original is $250 an edition off 1,000 editions of their trading card. Could be a 7-second meme, up to 5 minutes in a scene, depending on how many publishing titles you have in Press Pass. I'm giving a little rundown before we let Floopy Miko and Sweet Blackberry take it away. And let's get through to it. So Season 1 is the lore game covers role-plays the Basketball Syndicate of America history. Season 1 of the television show covers the 2012 to 2013 season of the Sacramento Majesty within the Basketball Syndicate of America. We're doing 8 seasons focused on the Sacramento Majesty of the Basketball Syndicate of America. That's my show, Press Pass Maine. That series will run concurrently with our lore game build, and we'll finance each season of the main series by running a lore game in the lore of the Press Pass franchise. After season 4 of the main series, we're going to open up the franchise to a lot of official spin-offs from other groups. As long as they're treating the official canon everybody's co-published as sacred, and they treat the continuity as sacred. Speaking of which, when I plant a continuity point as the showrunner, that continuity point is called a pregnant monkey. So it's a fixed point in the story, and we're explaining and role-playing as to why that monkey got pregnant, but the monkey is pregnant. For example, the name, the Basketball Syndicate of America, that's the name of the league. Nobody's going to come in and role-play that they become the commissioner and that they change the league name to the National Basketball Association. That would be disrespectful to my hoop parents, as I call them, and this is a pregnant monkey. This is just what the league is called. The same thing with all the leagues. So in season 2 of our television show, we will offer another publishing title experience to create the lore of the National Association of Modern Football. This is the NAMFU. Season 3 will be co-publishing the lore of the Global Hockey Program, and season 4 will be co-publishing the lore of United Club Football, which is soccer here in the United States. So after season 4, the television show and the lore game, after those wrap, we're going to open up the world for spin-offs and all of the lore, and the films and television shows and micro-series and all of that stuff. In fact, I already have a couple of planned. They're partners along the way to get those spin-offs off the ground, because we have some main characters that we know are going to end up beloved out of our main show, and we want them to, their story arcs, not going to spoil anything, but their story arcs that take them away from the main show, but I want them to have a home. And so I did plan 2 spin-offs to make sure that a couple of our actors can maintain food on the plate from the work that they're putting into the character. The Global Hockey Program, the GLOP. Oh, one of the fun things in our world, acronyms don't really work. Initialisms and acronyms, it was never linguistically invented the same way. So here they work just kind of weirdly. So the Basketball Syndicate of America becomes the BSFA. The National Association of Modern Football becomes the NAMFU. The Global Hockey Program becomes the GLOP. United Club Football becomes Uncle Fu. Wrestle Fighters Unanimous becomes Run. That one made me laugh my ass off when I thought of it. I really did. Like, sometimes I'll think of something, I'll write it down, and I'll sit there for like 5-10 minutes just laughing to myself, because that one was one of them. Wrestle Fighters Unanimous. Run. You can see where they were founded out of, too, so we're setting up the story seeds to involve an international experience here. I mean, international co-publishing, a global co-publishing experience. Glow Publishing. Okay, then there's the Handball League. Ailma isti kasipali foreetson. How'd I do? So it's the mech is what we call it. That's going to be Estonian handball. By the time we get here, it's going to be like 2030. So the role players will have a good 60 years of lore to explain how Estonia's handball became an international phenomenon in this world. It's not true in our world, but in this world, oh, it's everywhere. And people are learning Estonian as a language and all this stuff, you know. Anyway, we have the International Baseball Association. They're the INTBA. Love y'all. So that's going to be one. That's going to be a doozy. Season 7, that's going to be a huge one, because they begin in 1894. Then we have the Canadian Multi-Sport Fellowship. This is a little small. These ones kind of they're kind of coincide. By the time we get here, the merchandise from what we're doing together is going to be sustaining the show and not really the publishing titles. So the season 8 is just sort of like, that one's like a completely, like, sorry to Canada, but you know, you get a little You get a little professional league that like pops up, does a bunch of different weird sports, and then folds in 1999. And now they're a part of our sports mockumentary universe. Go Canada. How is that not the most Canadian thing you've ever heard? Look, they play basketball, they play rugby, they play slow pitch softball, the 4x4 hurdle relay, antagonistic tag team chess, which is attack, and then tag team tennis, tag team golf, synchronized swimming, and professional snowball fights. Professional snowball fights, everybody. And then the sports mockumentary world. And the Seamolf. Oh, man. The International Tennis Body, they're the ITB. The Oceanic Organization of Water Sports, or the OOS, everybody, it's the OOS. Had to give our Australian friends something. Well, I put a little bit of Australia, a little bit of Greece in there, and a little bit of Philippines. So a lot of these places split their headquarters because they're global organizations, but they're founded out of one place or another. There's the Indigenous Lacrosse Society. Yeah. 1107 AD. This one, when we launch the season 11 lore game, well, that one will just, like, that one's going to take forever. That one's going to take 20 years. So lacrosse is just going to be one of them ones that's, like, going to be going on as long as, you know, look, it's going to feel like lacrosse actually feels. Then we have Major League All Golf, which is regular golf and disc golf. We have Airsoft versus Paintball versus Fencing Ninjas, or the APFN, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You got an Airsoft team, a Paintball team, and Fencing Ninjas. And they're on a battlefield. May the best team win. Don't know what the rules are, you guys are going to tell me. Indonesian Cricket Symposium. There we go, cricket, season 14. The Abdap Quad. I love this one. The annual bowling, billiards, darts, and poker quadathlon. We also have the Earth's Clean Cycling Body, ECBO, Surf Skate Battle Rap Union, the Broccoli. Ooh, this one's gonna be fire. Surf Skate Battle Rap Union. It's just everything that was great about like the late 90s and early 2000s as a sport. And then there's iRugPo. So I don't actually rug pull, but I thought that was a hilarious name for the Irish rugby exports. So there you go. Then there's Superior Smash Gaming, which begins in 2007. So we will be putting esports in there in season 19. And then there's the Absolute Obstacle Competition, the AOC, which will be obstacle course running. And obviously there's more professional sports than that, but after 30 years of stewarding this, and it might take 30 years to get to season 20 of the lore game, I will be stepping back and letting you guys take over and run it after that as a decentralized body of co-publishers. I don't even want it. You know, at a certain point, it's like, it's going to be all of ours anyway. I just farted in the right direction. Okay. The Basketball Syndicate of America. Let's look at the Bisafe real quick before the bots start talking about it. Floopy, Miko, and Sweet Blackberry before we all start talking about it. Oh, here's the official logo. Boom. It's a doozy. It's good. It's a good looking logo. Colors, you got this like icy baby blue, you got this fire engine red, which is the same red as the Sacramento Majesty. Then you have a black and a silver. The silver is a little bit red leaning. And then as far as the logo, I was trying to infer the Obama campaign. I know it's like way off, but to me that it's like enough of the inference that my brain gets it, and that's enough. So it makes me laugh. But yeah, this is the logo, and it's totally not a tracing of a photograph I've taken. It's definitely not a tracing of a photograph, of an iconic photograph that I've taken. That's fun, right? Okay, the Besafe is a fictional. I gotta do my voice. I gotta do the whole 1930s transatlantic radio announcer voice, which is gonna require a sip of water. Okay, you know what, y'all? This is actually bothering me too. So I am gonna go here with it. How is that? Is that better? That's better. Okay. The Basketball Syndicate of... Oh. It's almost there. The Basketball Syndicate of America is a fictional professional basketball collective operating internationally in the universe of Press Pass All Access. Also known as the Syndicate, the collective is composed of 30 teams as the show begins in 2012. In the primary television/streaming series Press Pass, that's just what the first series is called, the first 8 seasons in a package, just Press Pass sets the brand against that package of television. The show focuses on the show focuses on sports media professionals covering the Sacramento Majesty on the team's journey to become the historically worst team of all time in the Basketball Syndicate. Founded in 1939, the Basketball Syndicate of America was launched shortly after the Black Actors Guild of America, formerly known as the Negro Actors Guild of America. In mission alignment with the Black Actors Guild, the Basketball Syndicate of America formed as an attempt to change the way Americans are socially defined as black through their visual appearance portrayed in the global media exports of the United States. The Besafe was launched as a mixed-gender professional basketball league, founded by a black Haitian woman and a black American man as business partners with zero professional involvement. These original founders wanted to establish a professional sports system that created the many-gendered warrior ancestry shared by much of the world. The Black Actors Guild was founded by Freddie Washington, Ethel Waters, Noble Sissel, Marion Anderson, William Handy, Robert P. Braddix, Duke Ellington, Edna Thomas, Paul Robeson, Robert Earl Jones, Louis Armstrong, A.C. Powell Jr., Frank Wilson, and Rosamund Johnson. The Basketball Syndicate of America was founded by Gaius C. Boleyn, a black lawyer from upstate New York, and Jacqueline Doucet, a former general in the Haitian Freedom Force, fighting against the 1915 U.S. invasion of Haiti until 1933. Doucet was a survivor of both the 1919 bombing and the 1929 Narbassa-les-Misereres massacre in her hometown of Le Caisse. A personal friend of Charlemagne Perrault, Jacqueline Doucet knew to fight the revolution where it counted most, the hearts, minds, and souls of the public. Doucet immigrated to New York City in 1930. Oh my god, I did it. Doucet immigrated to New York City in 1937, a few short years after the U.S. occupation of Haiti ended. Inspired by events at the 1936 Olympic Games, Jacqueline Doucet saw a pathway to ripen the hearts and minds of the American consuming public. While in New York City, she met Gaius C. Boleyn, a lawyer from upstate New York. Upon hearing the pitch, after hearing the pitch, Boleyn connected Doucet to various influences around the country, including Roosevelt. A healthy American coalition of all different backgrounds provided the baseline capital for the syndicate. Boleyn and Doucet became the founding presidents of the Yonkers Highness, one of the original teams in the Besafe. So the Besafe plays 60 games each season. Each team is owned and governed by 101 to 104 interested parties. They form 1 to 4 proprietary guardians, and the rest form the Governor's 100 Club. The playoff system is called the Lore War. The winner is rewarded with the Besafe Lore War Championship Cup, a.k.a. the Doucet Boleyn. The Basketball Syndicate has 30 teams in the year of Press Pass Here We Stick, also known as Press Pass Season 1. They're going to say Press Pass Home We're Bound, because that was the code name early on. But Here We Stick is funnier. So that's the official name. The 12 original Besafe teams of 1939. We have the Allentown Oats in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the Boston Potatoes in Boston, Massachusetts, the Columbus Dutch in Columbus, Ohio, the Manhattan Pantaloons in Harlem, New York City, New York, the Pittsburgh Gridlock in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Yonkers Highness in Yonkers, New York, the Calgary Mounted Elbow in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, the Chicago Red Beans in Chicago, Illinois, the Los Angeles Wet Fountains in Los Angeles, California, the Minnesota Menace were founded in St. Paul, Minnesota, the Nashville Whiskers were founded in Nashville, Tennessee, and the San Francisco Buoys were founded in San Francisco, California. So when we start role-playing, these are the 12 teams that exist, and you're going to role-play in one of the 12 chapters of 1939. So you're going to there's 3,600 publishing title spots for 1939, Chapter 1. So you buy a publishing title, You grab a notable fan, an ecosystem professional, a syndicate player, or a team coach, and you hop in one of these chapters. If you're grabbing a team coach or a player, all of those are already figured out for 1939. So you go on the website and you go to Unclaimed, and you'll see a roster there of unclaimed characters that are available to claim with the version 2 publishing title. So those are for people who really want to enjoy more of a main character energy in the story. However, I have found that they don't have more influence over the outcomes of the story, but they are more kind of topical because they're obviously the players and the coaches of the product. So don't get a player or a coach thinking that you'll have more say over how the story goes. That's not how it works. You get a player or a coach because you want to enjoy some main character energy in this experience. So a version 1 publishing title will register you a notable fan or an ecosystem professional. Now, if you have more than one version 1 publishing title and you're going to do a sequence with your character, let's say like 10 chapters in a row and you have 10 version 1s, you can go on a mission and say, I'm going to role play my way into being a player or a coach. And if the story goes with it, you're in. You don't need a version 2 publishing title. The story you have successfully hacked the system. So that will require some finagling over time, over multiple chapters. So when we do this in any sport, that'll be the same rule. So you don't have to get the Fast Pass publishing title that automatically claims the player or the coach. There's only a limited amount of those anyway. There's 916 of them. Ideally, if people were to support this, those would be sold out by now. And all of the, I think there's 180 players and 36 coaches. So 216 published version 2 spots for chapter 1. Now, the version 2s are recyclable. I'm sorry, all of the publishing titles are recyclable in that they can be sold to another person, and then they can be used again to register a new chapter. So for like, if you have a player or a coach and you just want to play for 15 years, 15 chapters in a row, you can grab one version 2 and 14 version 1s, and now you have the time registered in the co-publication to role play that sequence. You may as well get 25 and plug in 2 friends, have them each do 5 chapters, and then you do your 15. And you may as well get 25 because that'll allow you to take control as a storyteller over an entire chapter and plan all the adventures and everything. It's really fun. So the teams of the Syndicate in the modern era, they don't go over this on the pod, so I'll go over this. The modern era is 2012 through 2034. So I don't know what's going to happen past like 2026. So teams might change locations, they might rebrand, all of that. By the time you guys get to that era in the role play, I'll be hands off the Basketball Syndicate. You guys that'll be yours. So by the time we're talking years from now, that'll take 5-6 years of role play. No. Let me fix that. You'll be there 2.5 years. And then that'll all be recycled publishing titles of people buying them from each other to continue character legacies. I don't think there'll be any new registrations left by the time we advance past where we're at today, 2025, 2026. Yeah. So the modern era, we have East Side teams. There's 3 groups: East Coast group, Lakes and Plains group, and the Atlantic Southeast group. So in the East Coast, we have the Boston Potatoes, the Bronx Scream, the Manhattan Pantaloons, the Nova Scotia Frosties, and the Philadelphia Saltos. Out of the Lakes and Plains group, we have the Chicago Redliners, the Cleveland Dutch, the Detroit Berries, the Detroit Berries, the Iowa Happy Syrup, and the Wisconsin Madmers. My brain did that. So I read Detroit Berries. I wanted to say the French version. Detroit Berries. Atlantic Southeast group. We have the Atlanta Caucasians. I'll open that up to talk about it. The Carolina Stormhogs, the Jacksonville Sawgrass, and the Miami Crypto, and the Washington Government. The Atlanta Caucasians, as they were currently known, first joined the Basketball Syndicate in the second Syndicate expansion of 1948. Up until 1973, they were known as the Georgia Georgians. Okay? Their basketball god is Ophiuchus, and their power element is magnetism. So if you go to all 7 lore parties in your chapter for at least an hour. So you put 7 hours into your character's development, you'll get +2 hype on your character. If you go to all 7, then you also get +2 merit. +2 hype, +2 merit. Free levels if you commit 7 hours to your character per chapter. The Georgians were started by a Georgian wristwatch heiress, Martha Tekla Jabadzwe. She moved from the country of Georgia in the European Caucasus to Georgia in the USA following World War II simply to see what the difference was. She was fascinated by the vast separation in cultures despite living under the same regional name. Seeing the business potential of the Bisafe right away, she decided to start a team with her wealth and chose peach colors to best reflect the peach state of Georgia. Also, the main color there is me. Like the guy in the logo man in the middle. That's my skin tone. I am not what you would call a Caucasian person. I am very much an Afro-Indigenous person. I suppose there's a little French in there a couple of generations back. I think it's a great-great-great-grandfather on my biological dad's side. A Pierre back there is what we say. Now, Martha here rebranded the team to the Atlanta Caucasians at the height of their popularity in 1973 in an attempt to challenge the growing use of the word Caucasian to describe people of paler visual appearances. This is something she abhorred as an actual Caucasian person from the Caucasus region of the world, from Georgia. She sold the team to Crumcore Media Incorporated in 1989 after acknowledging her fading health had disrupted her goals for the franchise. Martha had a direct African ancestry despite a relatively pale appearance, with her maternal grandfather acting as a crucial peace-seeking Ethiopian diplomat during the Georgian-Armenian War of 1918. So, these are all pregnant monkeys. Martha is not a real person. I made her up. Obviously, this history is not real, but it's plausible. And everything that's happened in this history is a pregnant monkey. So as far as the team, who is involved, the characters involved in protesting or driving this rebrand and planting the idea in Martha's head, that sort of thing. The people that protested the team name when it did happen in 1973, as you can imagine, that might have been a pretty gnarly situation. We're right on the heels of the civil rights era, and here comes this Georgian European woman who's, she's part black herself. I'm sure nobody around the area really knows that, but here she is trolling everybody. And here they are today as the Atlanta Caucasians. And they do win a championship in 2005. All the championships throughout the lore are pregnant monkeys. So you can't actually change your team's history. You're explaining why the team was bad when it was bad and why it was good when it was good. And maybe your character was key to both things throughout the whole time. So we have 1971 championship, which is when they were really popular. And so 2 years, it's like if the Oklahoma City Thunder changed their name to the Oklahoma City Crackers 2 years from now. The thought of it is so funny to me. Oh my god. Wall Street thinks I'm a market troll. This is a $1 trillion product if I did my calculations correctly, if it actually gets support. And it's like, I'm not getting $1 trillion, but everybody who's co-publishing, that's what we're doing, and we're sharing that. And the math of it is just predetermined. That's what y'all are scared of, is that merchants can predetermine math and set the terms ourselves. And now your rooms of lawyers can't hack away at our vulnerabilities because we're all in poverty. You want to enslave us to gamble on it. No. Co-publish it, y'all. Aren't you inspired to get involved and try to change the name of the team? Once we get to 2021 is when we're going to open that up. So after the pandemic, people are going to be able to change the name of the Atlanta Caucasians. Yes, the pandemic happens in our roleplay world too. Pretty much everything that happens in the real world happens in our roleplay world except for the professional sports things. So let's dive into it. Let's let them talk about it.
Welcome back everyone to the deep dive. Today, we are exploring something truly groundbreaking, I think, in
I want to be
storytelling
clear.
and
It's
creation.
not called
I'm genuinely excited
Homeward
about what
Bound.
we're about
Season
to
1
dig
is called Here
into.
We Stick.
We're
Press
diving
Pass,
into Bear
colon,
Eat Ape,
here.
episode 4, and our focus today is Press Pass, All Access. It's this
Since 2016. Been George R. R. Martining up this world, y'all. Actually, earlier than that. But, like, actually thinking I was going to do something with it as a product was started in 2016.
something profoundly unique in how it's made and how it even exists.
Right. And what's so fascinating here, I think, is that we're dealing with something that, well, in the usual sense, it doesn't fully exist as a finished thing yet. Except, as they say, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
The creators are, like, quite literally co-publishing that deed with us. And
What does that mean in like practical terms for the creators involved?
well, it basically means that instead of just, capital or money determining who benefits most or how much they get, this system is actually designed to reward the contribution and the actual impact someone has. Think about it like this. In the standard Hollywood setup, maybe a crew member or a supporting actor or even like the sound mixer, they might just get a one-time fee. Doesn't matter if the movie goes on to make billions over the next 20 years, right? Yeah. But here, under this impact puzzle model, that same sound mixer from season 1 could theoretically keep earning a small percentage, paid out quarterly for the entire life of the franchise, all based on their measured contribution. It just fundamentally changes that relationship from a simple work-for-hire deal to something more like shared long-term stakeholding. It really fosters true creator ownership and encourages people to stay engaged with the success of the whole thing.
That is a monumental shift. Seriously. And it sounds like it's deeply baked into this broader Web3 film infrastructure. Blockchain tech isn't just a buzzword here. It seems like it's the actual operating system underneath it all. How does that technology really support this precise management of ownership and collaboration?
Yeah, it's crucial. It basically acts as the unchangeable record, the ledger, for every single aspect of this new way of making things. We're talking about super precise management of ownership stakes, all the different rights tied to the content, the relationships between collaborators, how the audience engages, the value of the assets themselves, the labor people put in, the effort, even how the content gets distributed. It handles everything. And Let Me Out Productions, or LMO, they're not just like using this tech, they're truly pioneering it. They are, and this is pretty clear, indisputably the very first impact puzzle in blockchain history. That's a huge claim. And they mark it with their first company ownership token, which was minted way back on March 24th, 2021. So this isn't just theory, it's already happening, it's tangible.
Wow, March 2021. That really does cement their place as pioneers, doesn't it? And what makes that deed you mentioned, what makes it tangible and tradable are these digital collectibles. We mostly know them as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. But here, they're not just like digital pixels. They're described as exclusive pieces of predefined shared relationships, and they provide in-depth collaborative audience experiences. So if you hold one, you're not just collecting something, you're actually participating in the story itself.
Absolutely, which brings up an important point about the words they use, because you'll hear two related terms flying around. The scalable intellectual property puzzle, which they shortened to SIPP, and just impact puzzle. It's actually pretty crucial to get the difference. Impact puzzle is essentially an open source mark of trade. It's freely available for the whole #Film7 community to use and build on. It's like the basic concept, the blueprint that LMO put out there for the wider industry.
Okay, so impact puzzle is like the open standard, the blueprint for doing things this new way. Got it. But then what's the strategy for LMO to also have their own proprietary version, the SAP? Are they trying to like create their own little walled garden, or is there a real functional difference?
That's a really good question. So while impact puzzle is that open standard, SIPP, the scalable intellectual property puzzle, is LMO's own specific minted mark of trade. It's reserved just for their exclusive products and experiences. So basically, while anyone can use the underlying ideas of the impact puzzle, SIPP represents LMO specific proprietary ways of doing things, their refined methods. It lets them kind of differentiate their own high quality stuff while still, contributing to the broader open source community.
Right, makes sense. Keep the core open, but have a premium version for their own stuff.
Precisely. And at the heart of both SIPP and this whole impact puzzle idea is this really innovative proof of labor system. The system is designed to measure, supposedly with remarkable precision, the expertise someone brings, the liability they take on, and the exact amount of time they commit to a production. It sounds like this is how they figure out a collaborator's impact percentage within their specific department or labor pool.
Yeah, and it's designed to be really concrete, to avoid sort of arbitrary judgments about effort. The system uses this unit they call a half-day block, or HDB. That's the core measure. Every 6 hours of required project presence during workday earns 1 HDB. And what's really specific is that if a laborer is on set for even 1 minute over 6 hours, they automatically get a second HDB for that day. This kind of stops people from trying to game the system by tracking minute by minute. So, like, if someone's needed for 7 hours, boom, 2 HDBs. If they're there for 13 hours, that's 3 HDBs. So it's not about punching a clock down to the minute, but these defined blocks that reward the commitment of time. It probably encourages using longer days efficiently, maybe. The actual numbers here, I guess, are less important than the principle. A clear, transparent, unchangeable record of contribution that directly links to a share of the profits. It's such a fundamental shift away from typical contracts.
Exactly. And let's just quickly look at the example they give, not to get bogged down on the map, just to see how transparent it is. Imagine you've got 3 cast members, right? And together they share 6% equity in whatever distributed asset they worked on. So each cast member's individual contribution in HDBs is tracked. Let's say cast member A racks up 240 HDBs, cast member B gets 140 HDBs, and cast member C gets 50 HDBs. The total HDBs from that whole cast labor pool is 430.
Okay, so to figure out what each person actually earns from that 6% pool, you take their individual HDBs, divide by the total HDBs in their pool, the 430, and that gives them their exact impact percentage. Then you apply that percentage to the 6% equity. So using those numbers, cast member A might end up with roughly 3.35% of the net profit, B gets around 1.95%, and C gets about 0.70%. It just makes their compensation directly proportional to their actual measurable effort, even if it has a small role.
Sorry, and that level of precision connects directly back to what they call the perpetual financial reward for collaborators. This isn't just a one-time paycheck. It's issued quarterly based on these carefully calculated impact percentages and make sure that the people who actually contribute benefit directly from the ongoing success of the thing, not just during the initial production phase.
Yeah.
It's really designed to build true creator equity and probably a lot of loyalty too.
Okay, wow. Foundational structure, something else. Potential game change a whole industry. But what about the story itself? Let's step out of the blockchain boardroom and onto the court into this incredibly rich and often pretty observed world they built, Press Pass, all access. Like we mentioned, it's a sports documentary, but it's crafted with a very specific blend in mind. Think of it honoring the kind of gritty, story-driven style of ESPN's 30 for 30 documentaries, but then injecting the dry, relatable, and often hilarious humor of a workplace mockumentary like The Office. That blend alone just sounds like a recipe for something really special, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's particularly clever, I think, is the sort of meta story woven into the whole thing. The premise isn't just that this is some old documentary they found and are showing you. Instead, the idea is that Let Me Out Productions has supposedly picked up the rights right now in the modern moment to produce this whole documentary franchise. So the discovery of the lore, history, the characters, the forgotten moments, it's an active, ongoing, and crucially collaborative process. It's not just handed to you on a plate. You're actually invited to help unearth it, to kind of participate in the archaeological dig of this whole fictional universe.
Let's just compelling meta narrative of living archaeological dig. Does that approach present any unique creative challenges beyond the obvious opportunities?
Oh, absolutely it does. The big challenge, I'd imagine, is maintaining narrative cohesion. We've got all these decentralized contributions coming in, making sure that the discovered lore feels genuinely integrated and consistent, and not just a jumble of random ideas. But the opportunity is just huge. A story that can organically grow and evolve, shaped by a passionate community that ensures longevity and real audience investment. And to categorize this unique blend, they've even given the whole genre this brilliant name, sport punk.
Sport punk, okay, that's a bold genre name. Does it fully capture that emotional depth you mentioned earlier, or does it lean more heavily into the comedic absurdity side of things?
Well, sport punk is defined as using entirely fictional professional sports lore to anchor stories that are plausible, comedic, and sometimes deeply emotional fiction. It's not trying to recreate real sports. It's about building this rich, believable, yet totally imagined sports history that lets them tell compelling stories. Its core thing seems to be celebrating the weird stuff, the obscurities and absurdities you find in real history. It kind of embraces the quirks and oddities of the past to build something new and engaging. The emotional depth, I think, often comes from the characters trying to navigate all these sort of situations.
And it gets even more layered. They share this fun and true fact that really brings the plausible fiction element home. The showrunner's actual real-life great-granduncle, Robert Earl Jones, was actually blacklisted from Hollywood opportunities from the late 1930s right until the 1950s. That kind of real-world historical injustice woven into a fictional sport universe. Wow, that sounds incredibly powerful. Makes the whole sport punk genre feel really grounded somehow.
Which raises that important question. If the lore is being actively discovered, how does you, the audience member, actually participate in that discovery? This is where that collaborative aspect really kicks in. People can literally buy publishing titles or intellectual property tokens to actually register characters within this universe. Yeah. Once you have a character registered, you can roleplay the lore and even create your own content for the archive and the trading card market. It's a direct invitation for you, the listener. You can co-create it, but literally put your own stamp on the narrative.
So it's not just passive watching, it's active contribution. That's a really powerful incentive, isn't it? And that brings us to their rather unique marketing philosophy, which they hilariously call surfing the lo-fi. I just find this name so out.
Surfing the lo-fi is described as this cognitive marketing strategy that's designed to deter speculators, people just looking to flip that maybe, and instead find genuine organic consumer interest in collaboration itself. The idea is that by being intentionally vague about the sport, they explicitly say not to mention the word basketball outside very specific graphic elements or the name basketball syndicate, because, quote, it's obvious the show's about basketball. Being intentionally vague, silly, funny, and part of a high-class exclusive community vibe, cultivate this high-class exclusive community vibe. They're not shouting from the rooftops trying to get massive filter, inviting you something more nuanced. Sounds like this playful challenge to the audience, to lean in and discover the full depth of this world for yourself.
I love that. It's like they're saying, look, we know what we're doing, and we trust you to figure it out and join us in this little inside joke. And kind of cuts through all the usual marketing noise and builds this sense of exclusivity, not for high price, but through shared understanding and getting immersed in it. All right, so let's now really unpack components of what makes Press Pass Season 1. As we kind of hinted, it's basically 2 big things working side by side. First, there's Basketball Syndicate Lore Game, which just sounds absolutely massive. It's described as a collaborative storytelling experience featuring a staggering 1,830 chapters. Can you wrap your head around the depth of that?
It's an incredible scale, yeah. And then running alongside it, or maybe emerging from it, we have the first season of the television show itself. That consists of 24 episodes, each blocking at around 30 minutes long. And what's really fascinating here is how the source material explicitly puts it. These don't exist except in deed. We're co-publishing the deed together. This isn't some show that's already fully produced and is now just being dropped. It's a tangible, collaborative creation that's happening with its audience almost in real time.
That really does change the whole dynamic, doesn't it? It's not just a finished product you consume, it's an ongoing project that you can actually influence and build. So how does the lore game, with its 1,830 chapters, fit in with the television show? Are they telling the exact same story, or is the relationship different?
They're complementary, but they are distinct. The lore game is incredibly expansive. It covers all 74 years of the fictional basketball syndicate of America, the Beast of Fate's history, starting way back in 1939. That provides incredibly rich, sprawling historical backdrop of the whole universe. In contrast, the television show has a much more specific, immediate focus. It zooms right in on sport media surrounding one particular team, the Sacramento Magic, during a very specific time period, the 2012-13 season. So you can think of the lore game as the entire universe's timeline, its deep history, and the TV show is like a specific detailed mockumentary-style window looking into one small contemporary slice of it.
Ah, okay, so the lore game gives you the foundation, the history, the context, and the show gives you the immediate character-driven story happening right now. That makes perfect sense. And you mentioned that listeners, you have to participate in this by registering characters. How does that work practically? What do you actually need to do?
Yeah, it all revolves around collecting their intellectual property tokens. And there are different versions of these tokens, and each version grants you access to register different kinds of characters within the lore game. So version 1 tokens, for example, those are what you need if you want to register notable fans or ecosystem professionals. These are the people surrounding the main action, but they're vital for building a believable world, right? Like a passionate season ticket holder, or maybe the team's overworked publicist.
Okay, so if you wanted to be, say, a sports report covering team, or maybe the team chef, or even just the Majesty's biggest, most vocal superfan, you aim for a version 1 token.
Exactly. Now, if you're aiming for a role that's more central to the action, like an actual athlete or coach, then you'll need a version 2 token. These are required for registering single players and team coaches. There is one important exception, though. For the very first chapter, the 1939 chapter, the source says only claims are available for character registration. This suggests that foundational period might be getting filled in a more curated way, maybe. Or maybe it has specific rules, possibly to establish those critical historical figures first.
Interesting. And once you register a character using one of these tokens, is it like set in stone? Can you change mine and register a different character with the same token if you don't like the first one?
That's a definite no. The rule seems quite strict and they strictly enforce. If the edition is used to register a character, you can never use to register another. This is strictly enforced by puzzle human audits. End quote. It really ensures that each character is unique and permanent within the lore game. It kind of reinforces that whole idea of co-publishing the deed. Once a piece of the lore is defined and etched into the history, it's there for good.
Oh, okay. That's a serious commitment then. It's not trying out. And beyond just registering characters, what about creating other kinds of content? You mentioned lore memes and lore scenes for the content archive and creating market. How does that part tie in?
Right. This is where the creativity really gets flowing, and it invites different levels of contribution from the community. The different versions of the collectible tokens also unlock different types of content creation possibilities. So version 1 clip is described as a 23-second lore meme. Interestingly, these often serve as a sort of homage to #LensFace, which was the showrunner's own performance art series that chronicled the struggling basketball team through struggling influencers style content for 5 years. Then version 2 clip is a bit longer, a 50-second meme. And this one can actually feature footage from the actual #LensFace show itself.
Well, wait, so it's not just about the fictional universe of the press, it's about the creation process itself, and the creators are kind of part of the meta lore, but a whole other level of meta storytelling going on.
Absolutely. And also exhibiting OFU and archive. OFU stands for original footage, and this type of content has to appropriately reflect the time period it's supposed to be from. Get this. The concept of selfie video cameras and user-generated content creation has apparently existed with the Press world since way back in 1919. So you can potentially create period-appropriate found footage style content that genuinely feels like it belongs to that specific era in the lore. RNAC, on the other hand, stands for artistic reenactments or artistic renderings. These are different goal, which is described simply as silent and fun.
Okay, so OFU is all about authenticity to the fictional timeline, grounding the historical elements, making feel real. And RNAC is more about creative freedom, artistic flair, bringing the lore to life in a more stylized, maybe even humorous way. Are there like specific length requirements for these clips?
Yeah, there are guidelines. Version 1 clips are typically expected to be between 30 and 90 seconds long. Version 2 clips are longer, ranging from 6 minutes. And what's more engaging, I think, is that lore producers, these are people who own 25 pieces of version 1 or version 2 collectibles, they can submit more substantial 5-minute lore scenes. This really powers the most dedicated members of the community. You contribute more significant narrative pieces to the overall story. They effectively become co-authors of the universe that truly makes the audience active participants in how the narrative unfolds.
This is just getting so intricate, and honestly, it's really exciting. It's like this massive sandbox for storytelling, and it rewards people who invest more time and energy with even greater creative opportunities.
Amazing. All right, now that we've got a handle on how this world is built and how you can actually participate in it, let's dive into some of the specific characters that we know will inhabit Press Pass Season 1. And remember, this is a mockumentary, so the camera's very following these visuals, capturing their quirks, their triumphs, and probably a lot of their absolute chaos.
Indeed. And it shows these feature different tiers of characters. The perspective characters are essentially the main ones, right? Their individual stories, arcs, are what really guide where the camera goes and what narrative beats get explored. Okay, first up, we have Kimani Okearah. He sounds like a really interesting starting point. He's quite young, only around 21, and he's the new photojournalist for this online publication, Hardcastle.net. What's particularly compelling about Kimani is his backstory. He's a former foster youth. And he's initially quite camera shy, so he's reluctant to open up about his personal life beyond just his work, his craft. He apparently talks a lot about this genius idea he had to get image rights and actual money for his work, which means this masterstroke deal over covering his Majesty. He's incredibly optimistic about the team, especially about this layer tomorrow becoming an all-star. You often see him editing late at night, just tirelessly pursuing his vision. Despite being shy, the notes say he can be arrogant sometimes, be unaware of how his personal experiences affect how he interacts with people, but generally he seems to get along with almost everyone. Except maybe the intrusive camera itself.
Yeah, sounds like a classic mockumentary subject. And there's Jimmy Trout, who's the managing editor for Hardcastle.net. Jimmy is portrayed as a real prose pro when it comes to sports journalism. Like he really knows his stuff. But it's constantly frustrating because he feels he's treated as an equal by most of the established media circuit, often getting overlooked by the more traditional outlets. This frustration, it seems, often leads him to act with a bit of extra calm, maybe overcompensate. He's the one who actually hired Kimani, apparently impressed by his video forward, although that deal was mainly for image rights rather than direct pay, which seemed like a point of attention regarding Kimani's pay. What's really interesting about Jimmy, though, is this performative liberalism. Like, he genuinely means well on social justice issues, but sometimes his delivery can be a little over the top, maybe drawing more attention to himself than the actual cause. And apparently, despite hating the whole institution of marriage, he just keeps getting married. For reasons that I am sure the mockumentary will explore with plenty of hilarious awkwardness. He's probably in his late 30s, maybe early 40s.
Oh, that sounds like such a great character dynamic already. The earnest camera shy newcomer totally focused on his art, and the season's slightly cynical performative editor. That's perfect mockumentary fodder. You just picture the cringe comedy situations unfolding between them. And then beyond those two, we have the featured characters. These are folks who carry major story arcs and provide that crucial contrast and extra flavor to the world, right?
Exactly. And one really notable featured character is Jansen James. He's the Majesty beat reporter for a publication called The Valley Fly. Jansen sounds like quite the character. He actually openly dislikes the Sacramento Majesty. He'd much rather be covering his favorite team, the Los Angeles Wet Fountains. He's about 39, almost comically obsessed with his old fraternity, and he's described as a self-proclaimed clout-snout scout. He's constantly sniffing around players like the Flens, Kimani Okearah, and other authorities on various teams, though most people apparently see right through his transparent attempts to gain attention. He's deliberately mean to Jimmy and Kimani, derisively calling them blog boys, and basically treating their online journalism like it's a joke. He's rude to another character named Kelly, and often teases others like Pilot Sneasel, Rhiannon, and B-Fan. However, he does, surprisingly, seem to respect certain traditional figures like Cliff Clemens, Emma Tolkien, Simon Antic, Mickey Torple, and Aisha. He even makes his public stand against someone named Lester Peaches for making offensive comments about Mario, though the narrative hints it might be largely performative. He's known for expressing some pretty problematic and outdated views, which he often shares only with colleagues, apparently not genuinely thinking them, but maybe using them for shock value. The irony is, the notes say he eventually ends up working for a blog himself as he's saying one Simon Antic joins, which shows his eventual fall at the very medium he used to disdain.
Wow, that sounds like a really rich, complex character, just full of contradictions, the kind you absolutely love to hate in mockumentary setting. Perfect. Who else do we have in that featured cast?
Well, we also have Kenny Genius. He comes in as the new coach of the Sacramento Majesty. He was actually fired from a better team to make way for a better coach, so Sacramento initially has pretty high hopes for him. However, he quickly finds himself completely overwhelmed by chaos surrounding the team, especially with all the persistent news about the franchise possibly moving cities. He basically loses the locker room because of his own nerves and indecision. Mario openly disrespects him, which erodes his authority completely. The Leduc brothers, who own the team and apparently mysteriously prefer to lose games for some strategic reason, end up firing him at the end of Season 1. He sounds like a truly unfortunate, maybe somewhat pathetic figure, but definitely pivotal in the story of the team's struggles that season.
Oh, a classic sports narrative, right. The coach, who just can't quite get a handle on things. And then there's Waldo Reginald. The name alone suggests a certain, maybe, gravitas, or perhaps, given the mockumentary tone, a certain eccentricity.
Waldo Reginald is a truly fascinating figure. He seems to have touched nearly every part of the Majesty franchise's long history. He actually played for the team way back in the 1950s when they were still known as the Yonkers Highness or the Omaha Highness. He later coached the Majesty when they first arrived in Sacramento from Jackson, Mississippi, back in the mid-80s. And if that wasn't enough, he was also the general manager for most of the 90s. That is, until the mysterious Good brothers bought the team in 1998, apparently hoping they could convince the all-time USOFA superstar Jerry Burden to join them. Spoiler alert, Burden didn't join. But what's truly endearing about Waldo, despite his extensive history with the team, is that he was apparently terrible at playing and coaching and managing. yet somehow he remained universally beloved by the fans. He's kind of the embodiment of enduring charming and competence.
That's just a beautiful touch. The lovable but totally ineffective figure. That's a cornerstone of any good documentary, isn't it? And these are just the perspective and featured characters. I assume there are more layers to this world, more people populating it.
Oh yeah, the universe is incredibly deep. Beyond the perspective and featured folks, there are also bit characters. Now, they might have smaller roles, often maybe just cameo-like appearances, but they serve a really crucial purpose. They help to further elevate the kind of exclusivity of the environment, provide even more contrast within the narrative. Their presence just adds to the richness and the realism of the world, offering kind of endless possibilities for community creation and expansion within those roles, too. It truly feels like a living, breathing sports media ecosystem, just right for new stories to be told.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Moving beyond the specific show and characters in Season 1, let's talk about the overarching narrative of this entire universe. Basketball Syndicate of America, or BSOFA. What a name. Can you take us back to its origins? What was its ambitious mission?
Absolutely. The BSOFO, this fictional professional basketball collective operating internationally, it has a truly fascinating and really socially conscious history. It was founded way back in 1939. And importantly, this launch happened shortly after the formation of the Black Actors Guild of America. This timing and alignment are absolutely critical to understanding its core mission, which was to fundamentally change the way Americans who are socially defined as black because of their appearance were portrayed in global media exports coming out of the United States. The BSOFA was explicitly formed as a mixed-gender professional basketball league, which was just barrier-breaking right from its inception.
Wow, that's a truly ambitious and incredibly socially conscious mission for a sports league, even a fictional one, and it speaks to a much deeper purpose than just sports entertainment. And it was founded by some really visionary individuals, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. The visionary founders of the BSOFA were Jacqueline Doucet and Gaia C. Bullen. Now, Jacqueline Doucet was a black Haitian woman and a former general in the Haitian Freedom Force. She bravely fought against the 1915 U.S. invasion of Haiti right up until 1933. She was a survivor of massacres in her hometown of Lescase in 1919 and 1929, and she was a personal friend of Charlemagne Perrault, who was a real historical figure in Haitian resistance. Doucet deeply understood that to truly fight the revolution, it had to happen, quote, where it counted most the hearts, minds, and souls of the public. She saw media and representation as the ultimate battleground.
So she recognized the incredible power of culture and sports as a vehicle for social change and representation. That's just a profound vision for that time period.
And her partner in this endeavor was Gaius C. Bullen, who was a black lawyer from upstate New York. What's particularly emphasized in the lore is their partnership. They were strictly business partners with zero unprofessional involvement. That's a clear statement that speaks to their mutual respect and their laser focus on the mission. Together, they established this professional sports system that was designed specifically to celebrate the many-gendered warrior ancestry shared by much of the world. It was about so much more than just a game. It was about reclaiming and redefining identity to the powerful lens of media.
That's just such a truly profound foundation for a fictional sports league. It gives it such deep historical and social roots. And you mentioned its connection to the Black Actors Guild of America. Were there specific historical figures involved in that connection that listeners might actually recognize, kind of further blurring that line between fiction and reality?
Absolutely. The Black Actors Guild, which was formerly known as the Negro Actors Guild of America, was founded by this absolute constellation of prominent figures. We're talking luminaries like Freddie Washington, Alpha Waters, Noble Sissel, Marian Anderson, William Handy, Robert P. Braddock, Duke Ellington, Edna Thomas, Paul Robeson, the showrunner's great-granduncle Robert Earl Jones, Louis Armstrong, A.C. Powell Jr., Frank Wilson, and Rosamund Johnson. This interconnectedness really grounds the fictional BSOFA world within this rich, real-life historical tapestry of black artistic and social activism. It just lends the entire universe an incredible sense of depth, purpose, and a plausible backstory that elevates it far beyond just a simple sports parody.
So yeah, this isn't just about basketball. It's really about a broader historical and cultural movement, isn't it? Like a counter-narrative to the prevailing media portrayals of the time that makes the entire universe feel so much larger and more significant. Almost like an alternative history where sports became the central arena for social progress. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, and the world of Press Pass, all access, truly comes alive. Let's talk about the original 12 teams of the Basketball Syndicate of America, the ones established way back in 1939. This is where the core of the lore game really lives and breathes, and where you can start to feel the unique personality of this universe. The sources gave us 10 explicit examples, and I guess the other two are just out there waiting to be uncovered in the lore through collaborative effort.
Indeed. These initial 12 franchises really laid the groundwork for everything that came after. Let's just run through the ones we have details on, and you'll immediately get a sense of their unique flavor, their character. Okay, so we have the Boston Potatoes from Boston, Massachusetts. Then the Chicago Redliners from Chicago, Illinois. They were originally known as the Red Beans. The Columbus Dutch from Columbus, Ohio, who later became the Cleveland Dutch in '81. The Los Angeles Wet Fountains from Los Angeles, California. The Manhattan Pantaloons from Manhattan, New York. The Minnesota Menace from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Nashville Whiskers from Nashville, Tennessee. The Pittsburgh Gridlock from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Saltos from Salt Lake City, Utah, with modern nicknames like the Salty Johns and the Otis Cats. And finally, the Yonkers Highness from Yonkers, New York, who, as we know, would eventually become our beloved Sacramento Majesty.
Just reading those names, you can feel the unique personality just bursting out of each one. Boston Potatoes, Manhattan Pantaloons. But let's dive into the fascinating founding lore and unique identities of a few of these, because that's where the sport punk aspect really shines, connecting fictional sports to surprising historical figures and movements.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is just the sheer creativity and how it's grounded in this plausible, even if fictionalized, History. Okay, take the Boston Potatoes. They were founded under the, get this, proprietor guardianship of the National Housewives League of America. Their explicit mission was to encourage African American housewives to patronize African American owned businesses through something called directed spending. And the team's branding actively promoted this practice right up until it was sold in the late 1960s. Mrs. Fannie B. Peck, who founded the Housewives League of Detroit back in 1930 with 50 members, she became a founding team governor for the Potatoes, along with her husband and associate Alvin L. Holsey and the 50 founding members of the league. The team even set the standard for a fully decentralized syndicate franchise model, with all 100 Genesis governors made up of these founding league members. Their first head coach, Allison Narling, was hired specifically for her expertise in situation strategy and training of the mind. Their assigned basketball god is Capricorn, and their power element is Earth. That's just such a unique, community-rooted origin story, making the team a symbol of economic empowerment.
Wow, that's so specific and really impactful, tying it directly to a real-world historical movement for economic empowerment. It's not just a team, it's like a social enterprise built from the ground up by a community. Incredible.
Okay, then we have the Los Angeles Wet Fountains. Their origin story is rooted in that really dark chapter of Hollywood history where so many performers were blacklisted because of their appearance or their political beliefs. Apparently, the stars, who could still draw big crowds and were approved by the House Un-American Activities Committee, they were referred to behind the scenes as fountains by the Hollywood mafia. And the truly massive earners, the must-see performers, they were given this additional behind-the-scenes nickname, Wet. So the saying went, if your picture had a wet fountain, it was sure to be a hit. This is just a prime example of that sport punk genre, creating this plausible fiction anchored in real-world absurdity and, frankly, tragedy. And as we mentioned earlier, this directly connects to the showrunner's real-life great-granduncle, Robert Earl Jones, who was indeed blacklisted. Their basketball god is Virgo, and their power element is mist and illusion.
Oh man, that makes the Wet Fountains name go from just quirky to deeply poignant, doesn't it? It adds this whole layer of commentary on Hollywood's darker past, making the fictional team almost like a quiet monument to those who suffered under the blacklist. That's fantastic storytelling.
Right. Okay, moving east, First, we have the Manhattan Pantaloons. They were established by these absolute powerhouse figures from New York's cultural scene, Isabel Washington Powell and Freddie Washington, joined by the esteemed Noble Sissel and the legendary Cotton Club figure Duke Ellington. This whole fellowship of New York entertainment professionals got financial backing from Vincent Astor, and this team also has a huge piece of B. Sophie lore.
A character for the Press Pass lore game. What kind of character would I make? Okay, I think I would absolutely have to be an ecosystem professional. My platform would probably be like a rival podcast, maybe? Or perhaps a very niche sports blog focusing exclusively on the history of obscure team mascots or something like that. My profession would definitely be archivist or maybe lore keeper, just documenting all the silly little details that maybe nobody else cares about. My goal would be to unearth the most bizarre, forgotten facts about the Beast Sofa. My drive would be pure, unadulterated curiosity, almost an obsession. As for alignment, probably chaotic good, just slightly annoying maybe, always asking the weird questions, but ultimately well-intentioned and totally dedicated to the truth of the lore, however weird. What about you? If you could step into the lore game, what kind of character would you create?
That's a fantastic idea. Love the mascot blog. For me, I think I'd actually lean towards being a notable fan. My fan tier would probably be something like the quiet observer. You know, someone who's always there, always watching, but never loud, never seeking attention. Wealth tier would be modest but comfortable. I'm just there for the love of the game, not for the luxury box experience. My fan commitments would be incredibly high, perhaps attending every single game, home and away, for decades, but always from the same unassuming seat, never drawing attention. My alignment would definitely be true neutral, just absorbing the drama and excitement without ever really taking a side. Just appreciating the
It's
human
authentic
spectacle and
neutral, but
mechanics
they
of
don't
the
know
game
that.
as
I
they
didn't feed them
unfold.
that information.
I definitely lean into those apathy and discovery Seigen branch average qualities, like a deep indifference to who actually wins or loses, but an insatiable curiosity about the hidden mechanics of the game and the human stories playing out, without ever feeling the need to interject or comment. I want to be the person who knows everything about the team's history, but never actually talks about it, unless someone directly asks, and even then, just offer quiet, understated insight.
Oh, that's perfect. We'd have quite the dynamic, wouldn't we? The chaotic, good, obscure lore keeper and the true, neutral, quiet observer. I can already see the spin-off series just documenting our own journey through the Beast Sofa lore. Hilarious. Hashtag outro. Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive into Press Pass, All Access, the Impact Puzzle, and the incredible, expansive world of the Basketball Syndicate of America. We've talked about so much today, from revolutionary ownership models to this deep fictional sports history populated by really compelling characters. But now, as we wrap things up, it's time for the ultimate question, one that I feel could ignite a pretty lively debate. Out of those 12 original teams we discussed, the Boston Potatoes, the Chicago Redliners, the Columbus Dutch, the LA Wet Fountains, the Manhattan Pantaloons, the Minnesota Menace, the Nashville Whiskers, the Pittsburgh Gridlock, the Salt Oats, and the Yonkers Highness, now the Sacramento Majesty.
The Calgary Mounted
Which one
Elbow.
do you think has the best branding for market presence in this whole
The Calgary
market
Mounted
environment?
Elbow.
You know what? I am sticking with my choice. The Pittsburgh Gridlock. I mean,
San Francisco
must-see
Billies.
entertainment, worth getting caught in traffic. That's the slogan that just transcends sports. It's about the experience, the dedication, the sheer power of the event. And being tied to Eva Perón just gives it that undeniable, dramatic flair, that sense of celebrity and grandiosity that's just hard to beat. How can anything else really compete with that kind of audacious, celebrity-backed promise? Gridlock forever.
Okay. While I definitely appreciate the dramatic flair and the undeniable star power of the Pittsburgh Gridlock, if we're connecting this to the bigger picture of market presence within a lore game, a world that really thrives on discovery, intrigue, and layers of meaning, I still have to argue for the Los Angeles Wet Fountains. Think about it. In a world where lore is being discovered and collaboratively built by the community, the name Wet Fountains carries this subtle, almost subversive resonance. It's tied directly to that dark, real-world historical context of Hollywood blacklisting, which immediately gives it a depth that's more than just a catchy or powerful name. It's like this whisper of historical injustice and industry intrigue. Their power element, mist and illusion, perfectly complements this too, inviting curiosity and making you feel like there's always more to uncover beneath the surface. That kind of intriguing vagueness, paired with a really powerful, poignant backstory, makes for an incredibly compelling brand and a collaborative storytelling environment. It's not just, in your face. It's a conversation starter. It's a puzzle in itself that beckons the audience to delve deeper and uncover its secrets. That, to me, feels like superior long-term branding for an expansive, ongoing lore game.
But what about the Boston Potatoes? Founded by the National Housewives League of America for economic empowerment. That's powerful social messaging right there. Directed spending through a sports team. That's a brand that stands for something tangible and altruistic. which surely resonates with a modern audience looking for like impact-driven content. It's a brand with a real conscience that's got market presence.
True, true. The potatoes have those deep social roots, and that's incredibly admirable, absolutely. But the Wet Fountains brand, I think, capitalizes on that really tantalizing blend of real history and fictional glamour, especially given the...
Oh, where's my sidebar? What? $22. Notable fan. The internet is too slow for this to go. That's what I'm experiencing right now. So here's what I'm gonna do. All right. Let's find a notable fan here. Notable fan. Barbara, you're a notable fan. Okay. And she's unclaimed. So I bought a Press Pass Season 1 token. I have my transaction, and I'm ready to go register this character. Barbara Purcell Green. Purcella, I know. I just want to say it that way. She's a notable fan of the 1939 Allentown Oath. She's an F-tier fan with a Barnaby budget. She's lawful innocence, and she has spectator and Pookie commitments. So Miss Green was a spectator, meaning she simply enjoyed the sport of basketball, and she was known to be a Pookie fan, meaning she thought that a poor performance from the team was a good thing for the team. I'm not going to read her whole bio, but I will put her in here. And honestly, to register her, you hit edit. You go to edit source, and you go down to the lore producer, and you put your name and your hashtag and your transaction tag there. If you're creating a custom character from scratch, you can go in and copy her profile and change all of the details out to fit your character and who you want to add to the 1939 chapter if you would like to do it that way. I have a prompt here that you can change the details in. So for example, A-tier lawful former Rosebud author Dolores Dollar Tree Trimmer, right? So we have those details. So we're going to go A-tier, frequent attendance, lawful formal. I know. We're automating this into an app or an experience, working on it, but that's not my expertise in the market.